Thank you, Dr. Durga. We'll now move on to results. Over to Dr. Goel and the team leader, Abhishek.
Yeah, I think Abhishek can start off and then we can take it up.
Major Abhishek, can you share your screen?
Trying that. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Can you share your screen, the green button at the bottom?
Yes, I'm trying that. I think there's some problem with the system preferences.
Try now, Abhishek.
Right, I can show your slides. Meanwhile, if that's convenient.
Just 1 second. Yeah. I will have to quit for some time, then I'll have to come back again. So what I'll do, I'll send the slides again to your on your inbox. Then you can share the slides.
I can share your slides, Abhishek, if
Yeah,
that's
I
okay.
think the slides has been updated, so I'll share you again.
Right.
Share with you again, okay.
You can share it with everyone in the chat box. In this Zoom itself, you can share it with everyone in the chat box.
Meanwhile, I
You
will
can see
read
the
out
slides.
the comments. Dr. Goel, would you like to read the
Yeah.
comments?
Meanwhile, shall I start?
Yes, start please.
So this here as a team leader of group 3, I'm supposed to discuss the analysis of the results aspect. So I have used that analytic rubric format for discussion, which was provided by the facilitator. So, so this analytic rubric has helped me a lot in presenting this analysis, because when I was proceeding through by line into the article and pointing out the mistakes, I was jumping from one sort of mistake to another and coming back to the same sort of mistakes again. So that was the issue coming on, and this has actually helped me in conceptualizing, uh, dividing those mistakes into a different conceptual mistakes, and so that it gives a better way of viewing on these mistakes and getting a concept of writing the results in a better way. So I will come to this analytic rubric. So it has broadly divided these results into three broad groups, that's text, tables, titles, and figures and legends. And there it has been further been subdivided into 9 groups. For each group, there is the possible scores are 1 to 4 as per the appropriateness of the description. So the maximum marks can be 36. Can I have the next slide, please? So in the first, we will analyze the text part. So the first concept which has to be analyzed here was the strategy. So here we have scored it 1 because it was a very poorly organized. I'll request that everybody should have one copy of the article in their mobile or a hard copy in their hand so that they can refer back to them, because I'm not presenting those particular mistakes in these slides. So if you see the organization of the results, the information regarding aim 1 is completely missing. The aim 1, which was described in the introduction part, was to determine the characteristic of chikungunya arthritis, which predicts the response to therapy. There is no information about it at all. And if you come to the aim 3, the timeline which has follow-up timeline which has been mentioned in aim 3 is 3, 6, and 12 months. And this is entirely incongruous, because in the tables they have described the follow-up data of 0, 4, and 24 weeks, and in the figure it is 8, 16, and 24 weeks. And while describing the data, there's no uniform nomenclature has been used for the two groups. At some places, it has been used as the monotherapy group and versus combination group, and some places it has been used as group 1 and group 2, which becomes quite confusing at times. The data in the table has been repeated in the text. So everything which is there in the table is almost everything is present in the text also. And coming to the first para, the first para, which contains some aspects related to the X-ray findings, rheumatoid arthritis in relation to chikungunya arthritis, and rheumatoid factor and enzyme antibodies, which are irrelevant as per the study protocol or the aims of the study. So this could have been a post hoc analysis, and could have been possibly discussed at the end of the results rather than in the first para itself. In the last line of the para 1, that is that should be a part of the discussion, not in the part of the results, and it was very awkward to find this part in the results part itself. And in the last paragraph of the results, they have discussed the withdrawal from the therapy because of the adverse effect, and this will make a part of the initial part of the results itself, where when that flowchart is supposed to be given a flowchart about randomization and withdrawal of the study those parts. Now coming to the next group concept on which this results parts have been analyzed was whether it meets the goals of the study or not. So as we discussed earlier, that objective 1 was entirely missed, and it meets only partially the objective 3, and that was also incongruous. So it has been scored 2 out of 4. Can the next slide, please? And coming to the inclusion of data, so we have scored 2 out of 4 because there was the description of a stats were very poor. Like at certain places, the numbers have been written but no percentages. At certain places, only percentages are written but no numbers has been given. And there are similar mistakes at many places, and the description of stats are absent or inaccurate at many places. I would like to give an example of that. In the first paragraph itself, it is said that total 72 patients met the inclusion criteria, but in the next line it says that there were 65 females in group 1 and 69 patients in group 2. So this was factually wrong. And at many places, the statistical significance has been expressed as a clinical significance, which is obvious in the line which says that patients who received combination therapy had quite highly significant improvement in disease activity. So I think this is not the correct way to interpret the findings in the results section itself. So this is, can I have the previous slide, please? So, and the figure 1 has been cited in the text, but it is missing from the manuscript. And table 1 is cited in the table 1 is given, but it is not cited in the text. Next slide, please. And this has been provided to me by Dr. Surabhi and Dr. Kavya. So this is possibly the this would have been made in the first part of the result section, where it has shown that 500 patients were assessed. These many patients were excluded. 72 patients met the inclusion criteria. They were randomized into 37 and 35 in two groups, in combination DMARD 37 and in the monotherapy group 35. 3 discontinued in combination DMARD group, and 7 discontinued in the monotherapy group, and the total 34 in the combination group and 28 in combination group. They completed the study. So this could have been a better presentation in the of the results. Can I have the next slide, please? Now coming to the analysis of the tables. Now when you see the titles, if you see the title of the table 1, so it vaguely writes that demographics and disease related variables in the groups. So we came out with possibly a better title, that comparative demographics and baseline disease characteristics in study patients. And similarly in table 2, the key parameters over time in both groups. This is also very short and little vague. It can be little more descriptive. And so we came out with this heading title of this table, the disease activity parameters at different intervals during 6 months of follow-up.
Abhishek, I'm feeling miserable to stop you, but can we do it a little more quickly? You can give your broad comments rather than the specific things, otherwise we'll be missing out.
Okay. So coming to the layout form, there in the table 1, there was no hierarchy as such, and the footnotes were missing, and some of the data would have been better missed out, like erosions and anti-CCP antibodies. And similarly in the table 2, the footnotes are missing. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And yeah, previous one. Yeah. And coming to the contents of the tables, it has the data presentation is poor. Like if you see the female parts, whether it is percentage or number that is missing, the p-value has been inappropriately described, and mean, in my view, it should be written mean comma standard deviation rather than mean plus minus standard deviation. And one mistake I could make out that in table 2, that SJC, TJC and ESR has been described in the form of median and range, and dash 28 in the mean and standard deviation. So that were little incongruent in this, because the dash 28 is derived from these 3 parameters only. So if it was if the dash 28 was normally distributed and could be described in mean and standard deviation, possibly these 3 could have been also described in the mean and standard deviation. And coming to the next, the lesions of the figure, that one of the abbreviation is missing, that is ESR. And next one. And in the graphings, there is no proper labeling of the X and Y axis. And although the line diagram, the values could have been given at the follow-up points, that could have made a better sense of the figure. And contents of the table 2 and the figure 2 contains almost the same thing of the disease activity. So this could have been avoided. That's it from my side. So out of the total 32, score given was 12.
I think that's a brutal and brilliant job by Abhishek, and I must congratulate you. I'm sure that Dr. Ravindran should have some of you, at least, especially Abhishek, as editors and reviewers on the journal, and they would do a really good job at improving the quality of articles. Yes, I have comments, but that's fine. I would be welcoming other people's comments if there are any. Dr. Durga, Dr. Ravindran, if you have any comments, please please do share. I did find words like about and quite highly significant. These are not like, I mean, you don't see those kind of words in the results section. Highly significant, quite high. Definitely, the words should be absolutely avoided in writing. This is where age has been described as 54.05, multiple places which have no relevance actually in writing the results. Yes. Any other comments? Yeah. I think if there are no comments, we should move on to the next section.
Yes, Major Abhishek, that was very detailed and brilliant.